Good morning. I'm going to play an arrangement of the Adagietto from Mahler's Symphony Number 5 for piano. There's not much piano music written by Mahler except accompaniments for songs, so this is a reduction. Thank you.
Thank you, Karen. And thank you all for joining us this morning, those of you who are here in person and those of you on Zoom. Summit is a liberal, religious community bound together by shared principles drawn from world religions, humanist teachings, nature and science, philosophy, and personal practice. Thank you for bringing your practices with us today. We have a centering thought, which we're going to read in unison. If you have a copy of it there, is it on? It's on the board. I am only one, but still I am one. I cannot do everything, but still I can do something. And because I cannot do everything, I will not refuse to do something that I cannot do. Okay. Let's see. We have, let's see, lots of papers today and lots of announcements. So let me just collect myself. Let's see. Let's do the announcements first, and then I'll read the land acknowledgement. Margot?
Good morning and welcome. I want to just remind you that next Saturday, it's always the last Saturday of the month, the poetry workshop is meeting in the library from 10 to noon. Please come and join us. You all have a poet within you. Just come play with words. And even if poetry isn't your form, you can get more activated by finding more bounty in fewer words through poetry. So come just have a good time, refine your imagination. It's listed in the newsletter, and if you have any questions, you can ask me, or you can call me on the number that's listed in the announcement. Okay? Thank you.
Stacy, who's next? Let's see. We got Margot, Stacy. Okay, and then I have this.
I have two announcements. Shannon asked that I let you all know that many of you may have noticed there's this big board back on the information table, and it has sticky notes on it for donations. She's got 8 for business donations for the auction, but she needs a lot more. And she made it easy for everybody. You just take a sticky, follow the directions, help her out with finding some businesses that will be willing to donate to our auction. And she would much appreciate that. Well, we all would appreciate it. My second announcement is from the music committee, who has been working tirelessly, very hard, to find a music director, and we did. And we also want to mention that this music director is possible because of a very generous grant made by Debbie Wingard in the name of Pierre Vaughn. So we will always have him with us in our choir.
You forgot to say, come and join the choir. Because we need some people. We've still got a pretty small choir, and it's females all. So we. Yeah, so Wednesday, this fellow is going to come, and so anybody who would like to join the choir, and please, some male voices would be welcome. Come on Wednesday at 6:30, is it? And then we can meet the new choir director and participate in some joyful singing. Okay, so I don't need this, right? Okay. One less piece of paper up here. That's good. Okay. Two more announcements. Okay. Come on up.
Good morning. I'm Nathalie. I just want to say thank you to everyone that postcarded with us last Sunday, and we're going to do it again this Sunday. I have postcards, I have pins, I have labels, I have it all. Looks like we got a big crowd today, so. Oh, the postcards, yeah, they are for the campaign this year. I think we have 2 states, North Carolina and Georgia, that we're sending postcards to. So they're to get out the vote, get unregistered voters to go register to vote. So that's what we're doing today.
And we're part of the Social Justice and Action Committee. So if you're new to Summit, we meet the second Sunday of every month at 12 in the library in Zoom. And we do other events in East County. And I think we wrote a couple hundred postcards last week. It was a big hit, so we have stamps. So please join us after the cafe, in the cafe. Thank you.
Anybody else? You sure? Okay. All right. Now, welcome land acknowledgement. I already said we're a liberal religious community, and now we've got land acknowledgement. Let's see. Do you want version 1, version 2, or version 3? We wish to acknowledge that our fellowship resides on unceded Kumeyaay land, and that for 10,000 years this land has been and continues to be home to the Kumeyaay people. We recognize the violent history of the colonization of California and honor the continuing presence of the Kumeyaay Nation. Please put away your cell phones and take this opportunity to be present together for this one holy hour with our community. And if you need to be on your cell phone all through the service, there's a little place over there in that corner where there seems to be the cell phone corner. Sorry, I had to say it. I know, it's mean, but whatever. Okay. Okay, moving right along. Chalice lighting. Oh my God. Chalice lighting. Eleanor, would you like the chalice? Since you're right there? Okay. A chalice lit in our midst is a symbol of our liberal faith. A faith built on the foundation of freedom, reason, and tolerance. A faith sustained by acts of kindness and justice. A faith that visions a world flourishing with equality for all her people. A faith that demands the living out of goodness. A faith that requires thoughtfulness. A faith of wholeness. This tiny flame is the symbol of the spark of all this within each of us. Okay. Please rise in body or spirit for the you aspiration. May love be the spirit of this fellowship. May the quest for truth be its sacrament and service be its prayer. To dwell together in peace, to seek knowledge in freedom, and to help one another in fellowship. This is our aspiration. Joys and concerns. Hal and Pat Summers Hal has been in Pensacola, Florida since Thursday visiting friend Dave Johnson. Dave was recently diagnosed with throat cancer and has entered hospice care. Hal and Dave have known each other for more than 60 years. They were Navy musicians, serving together in many duty stations. Hal returns tonight. Please keep Dave in your hearts and mind. Pat. Thank you, Pat. Suha is in the hospital with high blood pressure. She asked for prayers and healing thoughts. And Sarah Duvall invites you to her art yard sale next Saturday, August 31st from 9 to 3. Let's see, I'll give you the address because it's on here. 5109 Manchester Road, San Diego. Okay. And if you don't mind rising again, if you feel like it, to sing hymn number 188 in the gray hymnal. Come, come, whoever you are. I'm just going to do one thing that I forgot to do. Sorry, Mary. And that will be time for all ages, but we're now trying to introduce our speaker when we do the welcome, and I forgot. Summitarian Mark Weedman, our beloved Mark Weedman, yay! Will share how he came to Summit and came to embrace the Unitarian Universalist religious tradition. Part biography and part theological reconstruction, Mark will share an update of his personal evolution on the path of religious liberalism. And we don't know what we could do without Mark. Those of you who don't know him, he's present all the time, almost all the time on campus, and keeps this place running. Mary?
There we go. Now I'm hot. Good morning. Whoops, having a little challenge. It's healing, but we're not there yet. So my name is Mary Carter Vale. I'm your Director of Religious Exploration. I work with our children, youth, and families. And today we're going to make candy back in RE. I'm just saying. We have plans. But I wanted to talk to you a little bit about a UU elevator speech. What is that? It's like when somebody asks you, what are you doing on Sunday? And you say, well, I'm going to my faith community. Are there assumptions that are made? Yeah, but what is that? So having a little UU elevator speech in your pocket, something to say what your faith community is or give a little more information about it, is something that I invite y'all to curate. So it's a lot. I mean, what do you do? Blah, 8 principles on them? I mean, they'll be running away from you. But each of us has a personal elevator speech because something here is personally important to you or you wouldn't be here, right? So I want you to imagine this community, just holding in your mind this community, and whether it's your first time or your 150th time, what do you get from this community? Are you welcomed? Are you accepted as you are? You have opportunities to grow. What do you get? And everybody's going to have a different answer, and that's beautiful.
Kind, friendly, and welcoming.
Kind, friendly, and welcoming. That's a great one. Now, I want you to imagine that I have this gorgeous chocolate cake in my hand. Look at that beautiful chocolate cake. And I'm enjoying it. It is so good. I love it. It's my favorite chocolate cake. And I'm in a room full of people. What do you do when you have a chocolate cake in a room full of people? I might go and offer Jenny a piece. You better. Jenny happily receives it. And then I might go offer Mark a piece, and he might say, no, thank you. And then if I offered one to Margot, and Margot says, no, thank you. Now what do? I go, well, it's my favorite chocolate cake, but I guess nobody else likes it, so I'm just going to hold it off to myself. Well, it does work, but you don't get the joy of having chocolate cake with Jenny. So Summit is kind of like that chocolate cake. You have a wonderful thing. You just thought about the feelings of the things that you receive here. So to not share it is to allow that chocolate cake just to sit there and you enjoy it, but it doesn't grow. It doesn't have more community, more folks in there. So curating elevator speech. I want to invite up Abby Weed, who has been in this community since its infancy and has a great elevator speech. So Abby's going to share with us Abby's elevator speech. Oops, wait, we got to make sure the mic's on. You put on the handheld for me? Thank you. Yeah, because the Zoom people need to hear you.
Yeah.
Reclusion.
Oh, I'm on. Nice. Hi. So my name is Abby Weed. I've, as Mary said, been here my entire life. So I've had 3 or 4 elevator speeches throughout that time. And the one I currently have, I normally give to people when I say in conversation, like, oh, I'm going to church, or I did this thing at church last week. And I can see in their eyes, especially if it's someone I haven't really talked to before, that they assume that church means something else. And I'm like, okay, you gotta nip that in the bud real quick. And so normally I say it a lot faster because I'm trying to get it out in one shot while I still have their attention. And so if I go too fast, please excuse me. So I'm a Unitarian Universalist. We don't have a set creed or dogma. We don't care what you look like, what you believe in, or who you love, so long as you're not an assassin, we're fine with you.
Assassin might be what we call a first principle challenge, right?
It's just like, so long as you're not a horrible human being.
Yeah, so you're not a horrible human being. So what would your elevator speech? Margot just had a really beautiful one. So think about that, and maybe during coffee hour, share them with each other, or workshop them together, or go to the poetry workshop and get it narrowed down as a little poem. Be lyrical about it. Be lyrical. Another thing you can also do if you're really stumping, grab a hymnal, or go onto worshipweb.com on the Unitarian Universalist, UUA.org, and you can look at different readings, like that beautiful one we had today, the very first centering thought. That's a great elevator speech. So don't feel too intimidated. Just share your chocolate cake. Okay? So we're going to go make candy, and if we have success, we'll share some with you. Make any chocolate? Tootsie Rolls. From scratch. So if we have any that comes out nummy, we'll bring it over to you all for coffee hour. So and postcarding. So that's my time for all ages, my UU elevator speech with help from Abby today. And we're all going to head back and go make candy. So let's join in our Do Re Mi song.
Good morning again. And it is my honor to be able to lead all of us in meditation, a meditation today to celebrate who we are. Many of us think of meditation. Sometimes we hear that word and we go, I can't meditate. Well, I invite you to think about as you live in some of the principles we even talked about today in kindness and love, you are a living meditation. You carry it with you. It's not just sitting, practicing, That's beautiful too, and quiet. We all need more stillness in our lives. So today I'm going to lead you on what I call a meditation, but it's also a little journey into yourselves. So just allow yourselves to close your eyes and let that mind, let all of you just focus on one of the very sources of life, your breath, and just begin breathing, allowing your breath to find its natural rhythm, allowing the breath and reminding you that every time you breathe in new life and light, and every time you exhale, you are letting go of all the old parts of you, all that is no longer needed, and getting in the way of you growing and evolving. You are releasing it. So continue to breathe gently and deeply. And in that process, allow yourself to be in touch with that source within you that is the source of this life and light that you breathe in, your heart. Your heart, that center of love and light, and to inwardly affirm, I am from, in, about, and through love. Love is source. I am one with love. I am one with source. And as you take that in through the breath, allow it just to flow into every part of your being, into your physical self, your feeling, emotional self, into your mind, into your soul, into the space all in you and around you, encircling you in this bounty of life and light, renewing and continuing to grow every single part of you in love and light. Just take a moment of stillness just to commune with that process that is happening within you, taking in new life and light. I am one with Source. I am one with love. And as this flow of continuous growing continues to move into you and through all parts of your life, all aspects of your being, to nourish you, to continue you as you journey through life, just let yourself ground in this knowing. I am from, in, about, and through love. I am one with Source. And as this, you come into deeper union and communion with this knowing and this growing, as you gently open your eyes, allow yourself to greet yourself arriving into and through this greater sense of wholeness, this greater sense of union and communion with being one with the source of life as you journey into and through your life, coming into greater levels of wholeness and continuing to live in your life this union and communion. I am one with love. I am one with Source. And blessings be.
Thank you, Margot. Okay, where are we? Responsive reading? Is that where we are? Okay. All right. It's kind of a long one, but we can do it. I'll read the non-italic parts, and you all can respond with the italic parts. Some beliefs are like walled gardens. They encourage exclusiveness and the feeling of being especially privileged. Other beliefs are expansive and lead the way into wider and deeper sympathies. Some beliefs are like shadows, clouding children's days with fears of unknown calamities. Other beliefs are like sunshine, blessing children with the warmth of happiness. Some beliefs are divisive, separating the saved from the unsaved, friends from enemies. Other beliefs are bonds in a world community where sincere differences beautify the pattern. Some beliefs are like blinders, shutting off the power to choose one's own direction. Other beliefs are like gateways, opening wide vistas for exploration. Some beliefs weaken a person's selfhood. They blight the growth of resourcefulness. Others' beliefs are self-confidence and enrich the feeling of personal worth. Some beliefs are rigid like the body of death, impotent in a changing world. Other beliefs are pliable like the young sapling, ever growing with the upward thrust of life. Now we'll hear from Mark.
Good morning. I'm going to move your little dragon right here, Jen. So my name is Mark Weedman. I'm a cisgender white man in my 60s. My pronouns are he, him, his. I have short, brown, graying hair, and I'm wearing black rimmed glasses and a green shirt today. Why I am a Unitarian Universalist. In order to describe why I'm a UU, I'll be talking about how I became and have continued to be a Summitarian for going on 25 years now. And in order to understand that, I must tell you a little bit about my upbringing. I hope to reflect on how my philosophical process has over time become more community-based and not so sealed in absolute individualism. I was born into a Catholic family and raised in Catholic community in Mid-City, San Diego from the early 1960s into the 1980s. I experienced religious community as a primary point of reference. I felt a connection to everyone who showed up on Sunday. I identified participation as meaningful. Specifically, I love the social experience of the religion of my upbringing. I can understand these early experiences of connection and meaning as evidence of what can be termed the religious impulse. For our conversation today, let's assume that all human beings have some religious impulse. So a simple answer to the question, why am I a Unitarian Universalist, is that I'm living into a religious impulse. George Beach's book, If Yes is the Answer, What is the Question?, explores 8 questions addressing religious experience for human beings. And one is, are we incurably religious? My experience of being born and raised Catholic to choosing Unitarian Universalism leads me to a current working answer. Yes, I am by impulse a religious creature. But the metaphysical claims and dogmatic traps of my religious upbringing proved to be irresolvable for me. And I felt an always heavy burden around trying to believe things that were, to my mind, not reasonable. Reciting a creed with others in Sunday service that I could not abide by in my mind or my heart created a growing inner disturbance. Throughout my adolescence, I left the religion of my upbringing in my early 20s. And I defaulted to a focused, individualized outlook, sampling communities only when I felt I must, and always in a highly guarded state of mind. Mostly, I trusted only my individual judgments. Through my 20s and 30s, I was on a path to becoming a lifelong, no religious affiliation person. In 1999, at the invite of Don Stouter, to hear him speak at a summit service, I first walked into this community as the visitor. I was looking for a religious community where I could bring my children. But eventually I realized that I was in need of an open tradition and reasonable consideration of religious questions, which allows for the primacy of individual conscience. I was in need of the legitimate recognition of religious truth as personal intuition and lived experience, rather than belief in institutional creeds of revealed truth from past ages. I quickly felt very at home at Summit. That's how I first became a Unitarian Universalist. One more counterpoint is in order. I could tell you that I've sought out and embraced UU positions from my completely autonomous position of being an individual who weighs everything with scales of individual conscience. The problem, though, is that I would not be a UU today without group formation, without the organized association of Unitarian Universalist community. Being a participant in the social experience of this tradition has been determinative of my experience as a religious liberal. I acknowledge each of us experiences a separateness. Each human being is in some sense alone, even in relation to others. We do not penetrate one another's innermost center of being, but coming back into religious community in a UU setting has allowed for the primacy of my individual conscience. The Unitarian Universalist minister and writer Jack Mendelson upholds solitariness, the term developed by philosopher Alfred North Whitehead. Mendelson writes, "There is reverence in my religion for my solitariness." This is why I'm a Unitarian Universalist. I'm also a UU because I need operational practices of religious tolerance, not just between religious traditions and in society at large, but also within the sanctuary with you. I need and claim a respectful tolerance of belief for all, regardless of philosophy. In this community, I have witnessed plenty of parochial thinking, rejecting and disrespectful speech, and a lack of adherence between our best Unitarian Universalist ideas and how we actually treat each other and visitors. I have been guilty of the same failing on more than one occasion. I acknowledge that UUs are just as imperfect as any other religious formation at walking the talk. Nonetheless, I am here because philosophically, the doorways are wide. With a practice of the fourth UU principle of a free and responsible search for truth and meaning, I have found room to explore, to grow, and to evolve answers on a host of matters. There is a greater potential, in my opinion, on the UU path for skilled, humane, and affirming practices of tolerance of all personal philosophies and lived experiences. Mendelssohn writes in his book, Being Liberal in an Illiberal Age, quote, "We are together in our devotion to spiritual freedom." For me, freedom also includes an ongoing practice of loving the wanderers, affirming the freedom of the lovers of leaving. Ours is a free and open religion. We do not psychologically, philosophically, or emotionally take hostages. On the other side of my heart, that does not mean I don't miss those who decide to move on. And in part, I'm a Summitarian and practicing UU by my full volition. I freely choose to be here. I affirm the right and freedom of any person to come in, to leave when they decide to, and the discretion to stay and enter into deeper shared experience. UU minister and theologian Forrest Church puts it this way: we value one another's thinking. We respect one another's search. We honor it even when it differs from our own. We affirm the human importance of our joint quest for meaning in life without insisting on the ultimacy of any set of theological criteria. This is why I'm a Unitarian Universalist. And yet, I am more than my individual choices. I acknowledge that a faith which presumes a complete confidence in autonomy of the self is not enough to experience full human living. If it were, then I could do this from home and in solitude. UU minister and writer Paul Razor, in his book, Faith Without Certainty, reminds us that the liberal, modern, individualistic understanding of self is inadequate because it denies that we are social beings through and through. The social psychology of John Dewey and the sociology of George Herbert Mead reflect a similar human primacy of interpersonal connection. As a human being, I am by habits and impulse shaped and grown by the groups of which I am a part. My individual choices, evolving conscience, and preferences are the means by which I move and grow in the context of shared associations. I come to a greater awareness of community as the natural and necessary status for my personal growth, and to some extent, for my identity. The self can only evolve to greatest outcomes by way of social context. My environment shapes me, even as I shape my environment. Nothing is preordained by supernatural forces, nor am I simply an adequately autonomous creator of meaning in my own life. The Turkish-born American philosopher Selah Ben Habib contributes to this emphasis on the intersubjective. She writes, "The I becomes the I only among the we in a community of speech and action." I'm suggesting we need containers of intentional communities. As tempting as private cathedrals, custom built for one, might seem, its deprivation in my experience compared to the interpersonal richness of a communal participation in the intimate and ultimate dimensions of being human. So I need you in order to better learn how to be reverent. I need a formation of us to more fully experience the sacred nature of life. A Henry David Thoreau might be an exception to what I'm suggesting. But for me, Walden is more shared journey than private destination. I agree with Ralph Waldo Emerson as he upheld the value of self-reliance, but it is not enough by itself. Interdependence is the greater need and greater opportunity. This is why I'm a Unitarian Universalist. I'm a UU because of these ideas. Unitarianism, belief in the unity of God and an explicit rejection of the Trinitarian notion of the divine. This resolves some of my youthful dilemma of being open to the idea of God while being forever troubled by the supernatural claims about the historical Jesus. Beyond my religious upbringing, it is probably best stated that I was always more of a Christian humanist. Universalism. You know, I was never really subjected to fire and brimstone preaching out loud. But once I came to the Universalist idea of universal salvation, I was unburdened. Now Rumi's poetry rings the same invitation as Christian heaven. Out beyond ideas of right doing and wrong doing, there is a field. I'll meet you there. So when someone asks, what is Unitarian Universalism? My elevator speech is in 3 parts. 1, historically, Unitarian is distinct from Trinitarian Christianity and emphasizes the unity of God. 2, modern Unitarianism reflects a more humanistic view of the historical Jesus rather than Jesus as God. I focus on how Jesus lived rather than any supernatural beliefs regarding his birth or death. 3, the Universalist tradition contributes the idea of universal salvation. That is, if there is a heaven, everybody gets in, regardless of life resume. Personally, I reason this to be true by being only to conceive of God as love, and love would not create in order to condemn its creations. Today, I'm somewhat of a pantheist. God is everything and everything is God, and it is all sacred. Morally, I'm rather Kantian. I discern by conscience, experience, and most of all, reason, a path that is necessarily an evolving sense of duty. Doing the right thing can change over time. The question is, what is the best I can do at this moment? The Unitarian Burdett Bacchus reflected a moral imperative in his definition of God. When I say that I believe in God, God is not an idea to be believed in. God is work to be done in the world. I've grown to become what Tom Owen Toll might call a AAA UU. That is, one who treasures atheism, agnosticism, and affirmatism. Affirmatism is a devout yes to the question of God or yes to the call of life. Tom writes, it's the manifest strength of Unitarian Universalism that within our theological embrace, adherents can honestly assume all 3 positions at different junctures in our journey, or even concurrently, and still be considered honorable religious questers. This idea has brought me relief and encouragement to explore and change my answers to some big questions. I found no such permission in the religion of my upbringing. So the summit tradition of post-service discussion of the day's sermon attracted me from the start. It remedied the frustration of years of one-way lecturing in church and all allowed for what Emerson would call true religion, a service where we learn of each other's struggles and best thoughts. Hymn 346 and Singing the Living Tradition, Come Sing a Song with Me, is a great example of this. If we can listen to each other in reverence, we can sing together, we can dream together, we can walk together, we can work for justice together, we can practice peace with each other if we practice getting to know each other's minds. Tom Owen Toll suggests that we usually don't have the same epiphanies and mystical moments. The best we can manage, Tom says, is exchanging notes in open company. Some might say the same of covenant groups. The truth is not the truth is not on high revelation, but in our conversations with each other. I am a Unitarian Universalist because of summit circle discussions. We can debate and we can disagree. Let us do so with love, goodwill, and adherence to the aspiration that our searches for truth and meaning remain free and responsible. So I'm a Unitarian Universalist because of many people I've encountered at Summit over the years. And I wanted this to be a larger part of today's share, but the list of Summitarians who've influenced me has become lengthy. Instead, I'm going to point to Emerson one more time and then briefly share of two Summitarians who have profoundly influenced me into my own freely chosen covenant with you. On July 15th, 1838, Emerson delivered his historic Harvard Divinity School address. With many Unitarian ministers in attendance, Emerson criticized the corpse-cold Unitarianism of the day and argued that ministers sermonizing on antiquated topics while totally disregarding their own lived experiences were failing at the essential task of religious reflection. Emerson on that day said, and I will change the pronoun, the true preacher can be known by this, that they deal out to the people their life. Life passed through the fire of thought. Emerson encouraged all to, quote, abandon the traditional focus of the testimony of the past as the source of religious truth and to focus instead upon their own lives, their own experience of the sacred. With that in mind, I'd like to share about Summitarians Belle Kuwald and Renee Altsing. I met Belle back in the lodge days, before we came to this property. She was a little old lady who would often wear gloves to service, sometimes a Sunday hat. Belle would ask for the microphone during joys and concerns, and that's the way we did it in those days. We passed the mic around. And every time she would say the same thing. Do you know how wonderful each of you are? And isn't it great that we're all here together today? Belle never spoke from the pulpit. But her two-part Unitarian Universalist distilled affirmation in question form has continued to influence me. I heard her blessing the essential goodness of every person in the room. I heard the invite to unity of all. And I knew I could be at home at Summit with these affirmations. Belle died in 2008 at the age of 88. Renee Altsing graced our community from about 2012 to 2018. She attended the On-Property Amnesty International meetings and logged many evenings as salon host for multiple years at shelter time. Besides participating in the Summit community, Renee also frequented the local Dharma Bum temple and made a Buddhist practice a component of her healing into new living. She also stood in this pulpit one Sunday morning and shared her journey of being raised a Baptist and raped by an earthly father who used fundamentalist religion to control and continue abusing her. It was a life story of escaping the nightmare of her upbringing and learning to trust again. She walked a long journey of abuse, of losing her religion, healing and redemption in this life. Renee had healed enough again to trust religious community. She bravely shared her story with us. Renee died in 2018 from cancer at the age of 49. Renee described the path of her fundamentalist religious training as crawling from underneath literalism. She chronicled her survival and healing from the toxic religious messages and sexual abuse of her upbringing in the spiritual memoir, Stumbling Toward Faith. The writing chronicles Renee's struggle of relationship with a personal conception of God, and at moments also describing a non-theistic naturalist growth into faith. She was wounded, betrayed, angry, shamed, frightened. Yet she ultimately did not lose hope. She responded with a firm yes to life. Her courageous example continues to inspire me. I can abide in an affirmative way of faith formation, in part because I witnessed Renee do this in spite of great suffering and prolonged hardship. Thank you for considering some of my personal faith formation experiences. More of the story has become communal and covenantal rather than singular and solitary. In the coming weeks, we're going to hear the term faith formation from Casey. Faith formation is a spiritual, intellectual, human, and pastoral experiences and evolutions of the individual and the community. Stay tuned. And please join me today for the circle discussion so that I might know your mind. Let our faith formation continue. Thank you.
Bravo. I think we're supposed to sing that song now, right? No? I've lost my thing that was so carefully printed out for me. It's the offer, okay, I was right after all, okay. And then we do the song, right? Right? You guys have a thing, I don't. Sorry, Joanne. Your Sunday morning offering is a gift that provides Summit UU Fellowship the financial resources to help build a better world together. The smallest gift is welcome. For those of you on Zoom, the link can be found in the chat box. Please select the Sunday plate option to allocate your donation appropriately. There it is. Karen's another reason to come to, to this fellowship. It's one of the reasons I come. Please rise and probably ready to stand for a while. And come sing a song with me. Number 346 in your gray hymnal or on the screen. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again. Please. So, is he done? Help. Oh, man. This is crazy. Okay, sorry about that. Anyway. We're all going to do the circle song, then take a 5-minute break, and then we're going to have a circle discussion, which should be really hot today. Okay, all right. You got 5.